What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and I had an idea, so bear with me, okay? I thought it'd be interesting and kind of a cool, like, challenge slash practice, right? To do 3 things with random generators, which are some of my favorite things to work with, just because it's a little bit more fun to get something that's a little bit chaotic, I think, personally, and then challenge myself to do something with it. But, I figured, okay, that I would use a random aesthetic generator, and I think these aesthetics are made up. I don't think that these are existing things. I mean, a lot of things are made up, so it doesn't really matter, right? But to do, like, 2 random aesthetics, okay, and have one be the background, and one be the style for the character, right? Okay? And a random color palette. And then try to both make the whole thing look a little bit more cohesive with the color palette, just do the one color palette, and design a character and a background with probably conflicting or separate aesthetics, kind of. Making the character stick out like a sore thumb. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't, then we'll probably get the idea as we go along, right? Okay, cool. And I'll probably be taking a lot of screenshots. But I figured first off, we would do the aesthetics. By the way, my browser doesn't usually look this big. If you're wondering, like, it's set to the screen like this, it's because, like, I think it looks better on video. I don't make my screen this big. Like, this is a lot for me. Like, that probably looks relatively normal to you, like, on video, but, like, my top monitor here is about, like, this big. So it looks massive to me, but I swear this is just to make it look better. It's at 150% on the recording. So, just in case you were curious. Oh, they have a dark mode. That doesn't look good. Okay. I'm glad we had that adventure together. Let's generate the aesthetic first. Retro wave. Retro, recent 20th century past, science, nostalgia, vintage themes, mix of modern and past ideas. Wave, surreal and nostalgic expression of the retro theme. So a little bit like, oh, why am I blanking on it? Oh my god, why am I blanking on it? It was everywhere for so long. Something wave, and that's where this comes from. It was a big, like, music and aesthetic for a long time, and it's kind of fallen out a little bit. Definitely still kind of a thing, depending on where you go, but, like, I think it's fallen out of the kind of public zeitgeist, you know? It's become its own niche thing again. Oh my god, why am I blanking on this? So, retro wave, recent, past science, nostalgia, vintage themes, mix of modern and past ideas. Okay, wave, nostalgic expression of retro. So, I mean, kind of 2 of the same thing, but that's fine. And blood tech involves blood, violence, mortality, darkness. Tech, engineering, technological innovation involving the blood theme implies some aspects of futurism. So it's gonna kind of look like cyberpunk. It's gonna look kind of cyberpunk, really, right? Kind of Repo the Genetic Opera / like Blade Runner-esque, right? Where it's, like, also kind of based off of the visions of the future in, like, the 90s. That's kind of cool. And then also, like, extremely dark. Okay, so I will grab these 2. Let me take a screenshot of these 2 real quick. And we'll pop these down. And I can only assume this is going to be the background, right? Retro wave. And blood tech is probably going to be the character. Or we could mix and match. Let's post that down here. There we go. Cool. And then random color palette generator. Let us a boop. Ooh, okay. Okay, it doesn't look as cool as theirs, but I've got our color palette set up here with all of our colors. I think that this will fit, honestly, both of them pretty well. Again, we got retro wave and blood tech, and then this sort of, like, muted but very colorful color palette here. So yeah, I think that what I'm gonna do is I will play around and figure out which one of these I want to be the character and which one I want to be the background. I give myself some freedom in that. I'm thinking maybe... It's kind of giving me FNAF vibes, isn't it? Kind of thinking maybe blood tech character in retro wave background. I think that that sounds cool. And I won't really deviate from these colors too much, I don't think. As opposed to like my 3-color challenge where sometimes I'll mix colors together. I think I wanted to keep it relatively limited in like actual tones. So yeah, I'm going to play around with this and experiment a little bit. This is a little bit different than what I'm mostly used to, and I'm also going to be trying to make a background. So wish me luck. It's been a minute. But yeah, I will see y'all at the speed paint and voiceover. I'm gonna preface this by saying this took the longest I've possibly ever taken on a drawing for this channel, and that's counting all of the challenges I've done with multiple characters. This was definitely quite out of my comfort zone, but I think it was totally worth it. Let's get into it. I decided to make the character the retro wave style and went for kind of an 80s vibe because that's what came to mind for me. She was no real problem really. My main struggle came from the background, which probably makes sense. I went through several iterations of it in my head. First kind of a gritty, dirty background, then something more streamlined, and finally something kind of between that cohesive feeling and more of a visceral element for that blood tech vibe. It started looking very alien and cool after that. I figured this character would be exploring whatever this strange world was. It looks kind of like this character isn't purposefully dressing retro and more like they were just beamed there straight from the 80s. It started looking like the cover art for some kid's thriller novel called like, "Help, my babysitter was taken to the blood dimension!" Which, yeah, speaking of, this challenge was actually inspired by something that I saw listing a bunch of weird niche aesthetics. Funnily enough, the pulp fantasy aesthetic is really what got me thinking of it. I think those crazy illustrated covers on the front of old adventure novels, so that probably influenced a lot of how I wound up going about the piece. I still want to make something that looks similar to one of those too, though. I don't think I said it in the little preamble I do, but I was also allowing myself to use black and white. That's usually the case in challenges like this, right? Like there was really very little of it besides the lines, the whites of her eyes, and like the light on her watch. I really went for a full, overwhelmingly 80s fit, down to some leg warmers and wristbands, as well as a swatch and some thigh-high striped socks. I think this made me realize that I should do more limited palettes like this. I did almost cheat a few times in mixed colors, but ultimately I decided to stick to it and went for more patterns to sort of further separate the colors that may have been laid a little too close together. Although I did also spend a lot of time mapping them out so that they wouldn't touch too much, the same colors at least. This is probably what took me the longest altogether, but I really think it was worth it in the end. It's crazy how the colors just sort of fall into place and somehow become their own thing, despite where else they show up in the piece. I also went for some more direct shading and light to keep with the palette, as opposed to my usual method of using layer styles, so that took some extra time too. What I can't believe is how lucky I was to even get red in this palette. I have no clue how I was supposed to make anything resembling blood tech without it. It didn't quite offer the vibrancy I would expect for a retro aesthetic, at least not the 80s, but that was part of the challenge, and I think I made it work. I don't know what exactly possessed me to make something like this, or like do the challenge. I think I was just ready to take on another kind of big piece with a background. I essentially plugged in, and beside like one bathroom break, I was hyper fixated on this for like 5 hours. Like I looked down to draw, and I looked back up, and it was very, very late. I even fiddled with it a little bit after I stopped recording, which is not something that I do. But it was small things that would probably look inconsequential in the speed paint anyway. I straightened up that flashlight a little, fixed a flub I made when coloring the lines, and added a noise layer over it all to give it some nice texture. You'll be able to see all that in the completed piece as it fades in at the end here. This is definitely going right in the like top 10 pieces that I've made this year. I might pop this up as a print even, which, yeah, I got an imprint shop. Right now, the whole Astrological Oddities series is up there if you want to go check that out, if you're interested in getting a physical version of that at all. I'm gonna be paying off getting my wisdom teeth extracted soon, and that is obviously kind of a big amount of money to need all at once, so that or tossing a tip over on coffee would be appreciated. I'll put up a link in the description under my socials and put up a proper community post once I get the physical copies I ordered to show off so you can see what they look like in person. If not, you can always subscribe to help me get closer to maybe making a few bucks here on YouTube, or like the video to spread it around. It would be greatly appreciated. Regardless, let me know if there's any other fun art challenges you'd like to see me do in the future. At that though, I'll leave this here, and I'll see y'all next time.